Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this phenomenal and rare occurrence that racers get to visit a wet Leguna Seca. Good evening, everyone. This is Logistical Nightmare Racing. My name is Sky, and you are with us tonight in the rarest of all unicorn race sessions tonight, as Mr. Stefan Wessels will cross the line to start his first hot lap at a wet Leguna Seca. It's very rare that it happens here, but it does happen. And our drivers tonight are going to have an absolute nightmare trying to keep their cars in a straight line, as Wessels demonstrates the point perfectly for us on his first flying laps. With the temperature being so cool, it's going to take even longer for the tyres to get up to temperature, and you may notice that it looks a little bit more zoomed out today on these camera angles. That is not by accident. I have changed my resolution because I discovered that ACC sets the field of view based on the vertical height rather than the horizontal height, which means that we were all getting a really nice look at the sides of cars, but not of the actual action going on. So to try and alleviate that, I have a very weird perspective of the track at this point. Trust me, it looks better for you than it does me. But that is not the focus of tonight's action. The first driver across the line, I think it will be a legitimate lap time, although nowhere near what we will be expecting for the rest of the evening. Will be Wessels across the line, straight going fast. It is Jason Absmeyer in the number 90 Aston Martin. Aston Martins take the top of the timing screens for the first of the hot laps. Again, this is where it's very complicated for the drivers with this much shorter session than perhaps sim racers are necessarily used to. He's up on his previous time, no doubt at all, but it's going to have taken a couple of laps to get the temperature into those tyres. Very brave from the Porsche driver. This is actually the fastest lap on track at the moment through the legendary corkscrew for the third time in this session. Will come Wessels for the racing team Astra team into the final corner. He comes now, and how much faster will this be? It could be enough for pole. This could be an opportunity for Wessels. And across the line he'll come and go to the top of the timing screens by a second. Almost on the nose. I wish we could get that replay back. I tell you what, we probably could do actually. Better question. With the gauntlet having been thrown down by the Porsche driver, let's see how Jason Absmeyer can respond in that number 90 Aston Martin. He has been around the Andretti hairpin already, and the rest of these corners around here don't really have any names. It's corners. Corner 2 is the right-hand kink. Turn 3 and 4 we've just been through. Turn 5 is this banked left-hander, which absolutely looks astonishing when you're actually driving the car. The kink at turn 6 is right in camera. I dare say that Absmeyer might be using an external camera, judging by the fact that he's not got his wiper on for us to see. Let's see if we can find a driver who's actually using his wipers. No. As Etienne Kleb in the ATP powered by Amtech team, who is also not using his wipers. Finally, someone who is driving from a respectable perspective. I mean that with the nicest of means, but we will stay on board with Sean Stridham. Hopefully he goes for another fast lap. Into the Andretti hairpin, double kink for double apex. Whoa, left-hander as Sean really overcooks it to get out of the way of Absmeyer in the 90 car. That little right-hand kink there was turn 2, turn 3, as I was saying. Underneath the Cooper tyres, bridge to come a flat, and I mean that in camber as well as the vertical height as well, right for turn 4. The left-hand kink, look how bold and how much camber there is on this turn 5 corner. You kind of throw it into the apex and the car carries you around the rest of the corner, much like Daytona racing. Turn 6, mind the curb on the inside, unless you're in a Bentley, because that will spit you to the gravel trap on the outside. Turn 7 is up this hill, and then turn 8 and 8A, weirdly enough, is the daunting corkscrew where you fall off the edge of the earth. The ground catches you down towards turn 9. This long sweeping left-hander just doesn't matter if you make it towards the apex. All you need to do is carry the speed. Turn 10 is this, again, very, very cambered right-hander where you can carry so much speed, but the price for making a mistake is so much more. And turn 11 for the final hairpin, and across the line for Sean Stridham will go marginally faster, but nothing is touching that lap by the Stefan Wessel's Porsche. Brilliant lap, and what a wonderful livery for the Logistical Nightmare racing team. This is the new one, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Bucks. With that glorious flame effect. I think it's supposed to be flame, isn't it? For the 394 Grid Finder logo, very much recommend having a look at Grid Finder for sure. Not as though I'm biased or anything. Let me find... There we go. If I remember correctly, yeah, it looks wonderful on that Aston Martin with the South African flag on top. Very patriotic. Very patriotic. There we go. Where is... I've just realised I've forgotten to do a thing that I normally do. Because somewhere here as well there should be the Simracing GP icon, if I'm not mistaken. Wessel's just come across the line as well. Who is going quicker? There's 22 seconds. Robin van der Merwe is going very quick in that Lamborghini compared to where he has gone so far. Potentially, yeah, just missed out on pushing up a position. That Lamborghini, I suspect, is going to be a bit of a handful in these wet conditions. But is the session over? Who is going faster? Do you know who's going faster? Stefan Wessels is going fast. He runs out wide. Oh, that's going to be the end of it. Oh, no, no sooner as we cut to him, he gives up at the kink through turn 6. It looks like Absmeyer, Sean Stridham is one of the last circulating on track. He's going to abandon the pits as well, I think. Or as Etienne Clegg comes across the line, Ryan Barrington-Smith has come from relatively nowhere to get to the... I can't. There we go. So, at the top of the timing screens and taking pole position will be the 27 Porsche of Stefan Wessels. I keep forgetting if it's Stephen or Stefan, and I'm going to cycle through the two until I get told which one's right. Jason Absmeyer will sit alongside him for the second position. Sean Stridham is in third position, and Ryan Barrington-Smith rounds out the second row of the grid. Etienne Kleb is alongside Pullen in the last of the leading Aston Martins. Welcome back, Neil. Oh man, I hope that you get here in time, dude. It'd be wicked to see you on the grid. We don't mind the lag spike at all. Be great to see you on the grid. Pulling is alongside Paul Venter with Robin van der Moer and Jacques Vermeulen in the 9th position. Zomer will be starting 10th. 11th will be the other Van der Moer brother, with Sabata in 13th, Robson in 14th, Koenig is in 15th in the second Porsche, and Prius in the 7th Porsche to round out the grid. So that just testifying the pace of Stefan Wessels there to put that car on the top line, the first row of the grid. Flash of the lights as everybody gets themselves situated. And as the drivers head off for their formation lap, I'll very quickly try and do what I should have done before. Apparently that's the thing that happens. As always, don't get alarmed by the cars driving through each other. There are no collisions on the warm-up lap, which means that the drivers can warm up their tyres at their leisure at whatever speed they need to do. Give me just a moment, as I'm pretty sure it's this one. This one. There we go. They're coming through the corkscrew. This is such a short lap. There we go. Very, very quickly for you to see. Oh no, they're still going up the hill. That's okay. With the Aston Martins two apiece at the top of the championship standings, with Sean Stridham having a nightmare of a race last time out. That lead is cut to a single point, so suddenly the championship is fallen right out into the open. Neil Greening is in. What a recovery, man. Oh my goodness, I bet that was the longest start up in his PC history. Starting from the pit lane, but that is enough. That's absolutely enough. The gaps at the head of the championship have closed to within striking distance for so many drivers now, and with only a couple of rounds remaining. A single round remaining after this one. We do have the 2 rounds remaining at this point in time. Everything to play for everybody on the grid tonight, and this wet weather could throw the cat amongst the pigeons even more. Oh, actually, is that a British only reference? The drivers line up at the grid for the penultimate time in this championship. We wait for the green flag to fly as they come across the line now. And who will get the best start? The Porsche unsurprisingly jumps away from the field. The 2 Aston Martins are side by side for 4th and 5th. Stridham has managed to leapfrog into 3rd. As always, Logistical Nightmare guys are careful as always, but was that Vermeulen getting a big old tank slapper on cold tyres? Is he going to get moving? Come on, Jacques. Come on, Jacques. He gets it going. So no need for a caution to stay there, as Pullen was involved there as well. Just wrong place, wrong time. I wonder if we can get a replay of that. That was Jacques Vermeulen. Really unfortunate for him there. Let's just have a very, very quick look. As apologies, I'm still not quite over this cold. That'll teach me for visiting the north of England. Just on the entrance to turn 1 as it is, gets on the brakes, goes into turn 1 on that narrow line. Oh, it looks like there was some netcode lag. That looked as though the Aston Martin there got bumped, so it wasn't even Vermeulen's fault. Nothing that Jacques could do there. And was absolutely just netcode having its way. That's a very weird one. I've not seen that for a while in ACC. Into turn 1 for the second time for asking. I might have it the wrong way around. This is actually technically turn 2, and turn 1 is left-hand bend up the top at the top brow of the hill. I don't have my track map up tonight, so... Well, not yet, anyway. But all is clean for the time being. Koenig has already acquired himself a disallowed lap time for, I would imagine, some kind of track cut. As up the top of the field, the gaps are spreading out quite a bit. As the... was that Robson? Oh, it was Robson. Understeered and went wide at the kink at turn 6. I said it's a challenge and a half to get that just the right speed. Let's have a look at Wilfred Robson having a little excursion off into the grass and the gravel on the outside. As he comes through turn 5, we've come right at the correct time. Into the kink and literally nothing doing. Just gets a load of understeer and has to ride and control. Losing all of that momentum going up the hill. And now he has to get back onto the track in a safe manner. Does that quite handily. And then through this corkscrew, someone's gone off behind as well. Who was that has just had a nightmare of a situation? That was... Desmond Pullen having an absolute nightmare of a corkscrew. Robson now up in his own little fight, and the Ferrari has gone round as well. We know the Ferrari is a characterful car. That is no, if not Johannes van der Merwe. Who is that we have lost in the Ferrari? Was it Sabata? Yes, it was. Malo Sabata is carrying massive damage. So this is the number 1 car and he wasn't alone in that altercation as well. Apparently contact between the number 1 and the 764 somehow. So a lot of drivers falling by the wayside. What was it that caused the consternation here? It wasn't the Ferrari's he got on the sausage curb. Got on the sausage curb through turn 4 and just has been nailed by the 764. Nowhere to go. Is he keeping that Ferrari in a straight line, or is he carrying damage? There's no pit window. Oh, there is a pit window. There is effectively no pit window. So Sabata can now pit, and this could be his... He's going to carry on, though. Pullen, meanwhile, has taken a big, big gamble. So he should in that 15 car. There you go. Get a lovely look at that livery. Beautiful. Yes, meanwhile, Pullen has pulled the trigger and taken a risk. He has a possibility at this point of potentially going a lap down to the leaders. In fact, whereas Absmeyer, oh, he is going to go down to a lap down to the leaders, I would suggest. So, a big gamble from Pullen here. But he's on his wheels, he's moving, he's out the pit lane. He could potentially be getting in the way of his teammate. No, he's going to be out of the way of the third place Stridham for the time being. But a lap down he is. How much performance can Desmond Pullen in that Logistical Nightmare Racing Aston Martin, fresh tyres perhaps, or maybe just a splash of fuel to get in and out as quick as possible? We'll have to give way to the blue flags. This is Robin van der Merwe on the aggressive to Neil Greening. Neil Greening will... One moment. It was Pruis. It was Pruis who he was attacking. There we go. And whoa, Porsche goes over the curbs. They're so easy to just catch the inside front tyre on that sausage curb on the inside. And at that point, you really are a passenger. That was brilliantly held by Janeman Pruis, who will lose a couple of seconds but take no damage from it. Meanwhile, Robin van der Merwe is on a tear in these inclement conditions, with Robson a few meters up the road. After saying the Lamborghini might struggle in these conditions, he is showing those front engine cars who's boss. You think the Lamborghini with its mid-engine might be a little bit difficult to control, but I mean, he's making it work. Across the line they come, and I don't think he's going to be gifted the position. Oh, is he going to be gifted the position? The 764 goes out wide, a wash of understeer, but now the GTR has the inside line for turn 3. Will reclaim the position just about. Good evening, Garrett, in chat. Sound off in chat. Who are you supporting and how's it going? But Robin van der Merwe is absolutely on one at the moment in that Lamborghini. Hungry to get past the GTR. Has got tremendous drive coming up into turn 6. He shouldn't make a move. No, he won't. Discretion the better part of valor in that particular moment. Let's jump on board with him, because I think there was a lot of activity going on that Lamborghini. On the brakes into the corkscrew. Oh, the GTR understeers wide, will retake the track and makes the tiniest bit of contact. Was that actually contact? Oh, it was. Unsighted on the rear left. Van der Merwe and Robson. Sorry. Yeah, it was Van der Merwe and Robson getting together. Was that something? I'm not doing too bad, honestly. Just having a little teeny tiny bit of a cold hanging around. Not quite enjoying changes of air and the like. You know how it is. But on the brakes into the corkscrew, 764 gets it all wrong, tries to turn in, realises he can't, will cut across the grass to try and keep the speed up. That must have been the tiniest of touches. I'd be really interested to know what Robson's perspective of that was. Because that looked like a much bigger hit than what we saw. Nonetheless, robbed of a fight as we were, and now the 764 is around on the exit of turn 6. We'll go a lap down. I think that was Absmeyer going around. Oh no, it wasn't. Who was that we may have just seen go through? Greening in the 11 cut? It was. So the 764 falls behind. Where's Koenig at? Because he appears to have dropped off. No, he's okay. I don't think so. Let me have a look at the 38 car. No, that seems okay. No, he's okay. He's okay. He's okay. He just fell off the timing screen for a second there. At a key moment when I was looking. But he will take place with Robson in the pits. Yes, absolutely. Good looking livery on that Porsche. And with reliable and consistent driving, has so far gotten himself up to 12th. Great driving for the 38 car. Pruis not having such a good time of it, as Johannes van der Merwe in the Logistical Nightmare Lexus, suspiciously not in the new livery, is closing in on the Ferrari of Yves Zomer. Oh man, how am I ever going to pronounce that over a long period of time? Can never be sure if it's a flash of the lights that we're seeing or if it's just ACC's reflections doing their normal thing. But that Ferrari is looking a little bit more nervous now that we've gotten into the midpoint of the race. I dare say we might see that Ferrari try very, very... Oh, as the 67 runs wide, the front engine dragging the Lexus off the track, and that is a position gained for Robin van der Merwe, who has been given a 5-second penalty and then bins it on the exit of turn 4. What happened there, Robin? And for avoidable contact, 5-second penalty to car 86 while this replay is loading. As, he just got on the sausage curb, tried to control it, but you can't run wide into that gravel trap because the gravel trap is much, much deeper than it seems. And that is what caused the consternation for the 86. Now on the way up towards the corkscrew, has another massive wiggle. That's what you get for singing the praises of a driver. Commentator has cursed the Logistical Nightmare Racing Lamborghini. And suddenly Etienne Kleb in the A2P Aston Martin, the 78 car, is starting to close in, it looks like, slowly but surely, on the back of Ryan Barrington-Smith. Ryan, who worked absolute wonders with the Audi R8 last season, switched to the Aston Martin club, and you have to consider that with the pace that the Aston generally has over the rest of the field, it's very, very difficult to argue against that decision. Down they come off the hill. Has always given me a desert version of Bathurst, has Leguna Seca. Ever since I was driving in GT Gran Turismo 3 or 4. Wonderful, wonderful ribbon of tarmac placed in the west coast, and giving all of our drivers at least some pause for thought tonight with these extraordinary conditions. I'm surprised it's not heavier, to to be perfectly honest. When it rains out here in the west of America, it really, really rains. But that gap looks as though it's level at around a second, but now Absmire, here we go. So it seems as though the drivers are getting it up to a second. This is the battle for the lead. Stefan Wessel's in front, Jason Absmire in the second position. Fighting tooth and nail for everything that they can. Remember too that Absmire is now second in the championship, with Sean Stridham, who is up behind, and even the invincible seeming Jason Absmire is prone to weakness in these conditions. Robson has been given a 5-second penalty as well. What is that for? Car 764, unsafe rejoin. So both drivers in that altercation being given a 5-second penalty. Great understanding from the race director to see the nuance of that particular situation. Meanwhile, Jacques Vermeulen in the Deadman Racing Bentley taking the inside of the GTR of Robson, who has served a penalty, so that 5 seconds will be added on to the end of his race time. Nothing he can do about that now. And Pullen is only a 3 seconds behind, so plenty of opportunity for Pullen to race himself up a position. Now that that gap has been made concrete, 2.3 seconds. As a certain great commentator once said, passing is one thing, overtaking is another, as the GTR gets very squirrely on the exit of turn 6. Again, this rain really is showing how difficult it is to control these beasts of machines. As who is that? It's the Aston Martin. That's a carbon fibre Aston Martin. I've not seen who that is. 418. And Ashley Wilson is in the 418, and I dare say he may not have submitted a livery. I don't know what gives me that suspicion. But for the man who is currently running 7th position, get your livery in, son, so that we can all see it. Of course, the conversation I was about to start, with Wessels having this incredible display of performance in the first half of this race so far, he is very much within striking distance of this championship. It would require the drivers behind him to drop a few more points than he is going to gain at the moment, but he stands to gain quite a bit, especially over Etienne Kleb and Mr. Paul Venter, who I believe, yeah, he is in 6th position at the moment in that 42 Bentley. Meanwhile, a lap further behind, it's really interesting that these drivers are going a whole lap down when they pit. A key difference between the 5-second penalties between the 764 and the 86 is Robin van der Merwe still has to serve his pit stop. So that penalty will be cleared at his pit stop, and then van der Merwe can go about his race to try and negate that 5-second penalty. It's always good to get a penalty before your pit stop in ACC, because it means you can at least, you feel like you can do something about that. 764 takes that wide line again. I wonder if Robson is out braking himself every lap because he feels like he should have more grip than he has with that Nissan. He's understeered wide again at turn 3, and here we go. Space has been left by the Nissan. The 15 will take a sharp turn up the inside, get the traction down, coming up towards turn 5 now. On the brakes, the Aston goes for a very narrow entry and will secure the position. But that Aston Martin is very, very good looking and very quick. Coming up to halfway through this race now. And the gaps at the front of the field are relatively spaced out. However, the first of our leaders to call time has pitted and is on the wheels again. This is an interesting pit stop to see where he comes out. The GTR will go through. I have a feeling that might be a lap down though. That was one of the THT Porsches, and the other will go past as well. So now the 78 car has to negotiate this ridiculously complex turn 1. I think he might drop down to the top of those who have pitted. That seems fairly obvious, but it's whether he makes his way behind. No, he didn't. He didn't even drop as far as he didn't even drop out of the top 10. However, he has dropped right into the clutches of Yves Zomer in the 44 Ferrari. If that Ferrari has still got heat in the tyres, he could be in real trouble here. And down the hill, that 78 car looks so planted compared to what we've seen from some of the other cars. Just wonderful into the final corner for this lap. And the 78 car will complete lap 14. Across the line he goes now. That is that's Zomer into the pits. So a very different proposition for Yves Zomer. Onto the ground he goes. Onto the ground goes the Ferrari, and I feel like that's a longer stop than we would expect from one of these races. I don't think there's any mandatory service to be held. Porsche leading Team Mares are battling each other. Team Mares is a name I am not familiar with. I now need to run down the teams to find out what name I have missed. One car still has a pit stop to serve. Yeah, that was a really long pit from the... That still is a really long pit in the Ferrari. What has happened there? Actually, speaking of, it was Mr. Greening who had to start from the pit lane. But now the M2 competition driver is in 9th position, yes, with a pit stop to serve. But it's terrifying to consider how high up that Aston Martin would have been if he didn't have... if he didn't have had an issue. Leanne, you say the Janneman didn't have power. As in, his power was out as well. What has happened in South Africa, man? So Janneman doing a very, very good job to stay ahead of his teammate. And Sabata drops into the pits in the number 1 car for his scheduled stop. He will retake 14th position. Is it? Ah, that's a retirement for Zoma. I didn't see him leave the server. Load shedding. Forgive me for my ignorance. What is load shedding? Is that power cuts to... Oh, I see. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. Hey guys, please, I'm begging you, come to England. We love you. There isn't a single South African person that I know that doesn't have a million friends. Please, you're all welcome here. Meanwhile, this is a battle for position now, as Desmond Pullen in the LNR Aston Martin has... Yeah, it's I know how the power generation worked. I just can't believe that South Africa is having to do that. That's astonishing. So I'm an electrical engineer, electrical and electronic engineer by trade. That's strange. 44 car is out. So Zoma is back out. He's down 3 laps, but he's back out again. That's great to see. That spirit of endurance, that resilience to keep driving, just as important as entering and winning the race in the first place. But this is a fascinating battle now, as the Bentley, which I'm sure is having the time of his life, is Jacques Vermeulen in that 39 Bentley, is pitched up against the technically faster 15 Aston Martin. The problem is that you need to be able to actually make the pass. That's where the problem lies, is that 15 car is probably making its speed in a completely different way to how the Bentley is, as we have Ashley Wilson into the pits from 6th position. He will drop back behind this battle. What is the 15 car going to do? Because Desmond Pullen can't rely on the driver dropping into the pits. Oh, 39 car outbrakes himself. What has happened to Vermeulen? I think that's a steering wheel failure. The other Aston Martin's going... Bentley is going strong. But, my goodness, what a turn of events. Vermeulen, from a pretty strong position, and who was in 9th in the championship as well, is going to drop out of the race and lose out something in the region of 26 potential points. I was not expecting that whatsoever. So what just happened was Jacques Vermeulen came down into turn 1, got on the brakes, seemed to understeer wide, go to the gravel on the outside, and then retire to the pits. I dare say that is a hardware failure. I don't think that's an internet or a power failure, because it would have disconnected him entirely. But I think, yeah, Vermeulen is still in the pit lane, still in the server. Under 20 minutes to go. Robin van der Merwe still has a 5-second penalty to serve at his pit stop in the 86 Lamborghini. How soon will he take that stop? And I dare say he has a pretty sizable gap behind him in the form of the 15 Pullen car. That's a very, very big gap for him to fall into should he feel the desire. Meanwhile, at the top of the timing screens, Wessels holds the lead with the fastest lap of the session so far, and he's only 5/10 off of that particular pace. As of now, through turn 6 comes the Racing Team Astra Porsche. Such a good looking car is that 27 car. Down through the corkscrew, and these guys have been monstering the corkscrew all night. Make no mistake, that corner is impossible to negotiate safely. The fact that all of these drivers are doing it with such consistency is incredible. As that is not for position, I don't think, for Etienne Kleben 78. Where's that which number is that Aston Martin? That is Pullen, yep, so not a battle per se. Blue flags are what we were looking for there on the outside. I couldn't quite see them. And after the first couple of laps where drivers were getting a little bit too close, everything goes back to normal. What does Vermeulen say? Internet is very unstable. Sorry if you caused the turn 1 incident. So that was internet technical issues for Jacques Vermeulen there. As Paul Venter, it looks as though, according to the split times, he was Sean Stridham that has pitted Admire to the top of the race temporarily. Wessels has pitted and is only 8 seconds in arrears of Ryan Barrington-Smith in the 74 car. That's how quick that Porsche is tonight. It also gives us a real delta. I was going to say a successful pit stop for sure. I can't get the... actually, I can get the track map up. Give me a second. So the track map has dropped him just in behind the 37 and the 1 car, with the 74 only a corner ahead. And this is how the drivers circulating are at this point in time. The 42 car comes out of the final corner. And completes another lap with some internet at his disposal for Paul Venter. Rain really is separating the men from the boys. I'm really intrigued to see how well this Porsche is handling the traffic. Wiper is on now, so someone must have been listening and passed the message on. Into turn 6, will be covered by blue flags with this number 1 car. Pulls to the left-hand side to... Oh, well, it looked as though he was trying to pull out of his way. But just... There we go. Wessels now has an uninterrupted shot to the back of the 74 car. Into the pits goes Barrington Smith. There is it's another Aston Martin that is greening in front, so the 37 car will be next on the hit list. I'm just going to give my voice a very slight rest for a moment and let you all enjoy the dog box, the incredible transmission noise of this Porsche 911 GT3R. I did hunt. Oh, that is the Aston Martin getting very, very squirrely under brakes, trying to avoid the 37 car. Now, what happened there? Let's get a different perspective on it. I was just staying on board because it seemed like a really nice shot to have as they went down into turn 1. I was absolutely not ready for that. Oh, big old kick under brake. I don't think the 37 car got a touch there at all. 78 and 74 are battling. Is 1 second apart in 1927. Yes, so the battle for the lead at the moment. This is the battle for the lead is currently the battle over second. Wessels has just gotten under the second marker. Ryan Barrington Smith now is on the defensive from Etienne Kleb and running very wide as well. That's not going to give his hopes of keeping that 4th position any good whatsoever. Might just be overdriving that Aston Martin ever so slightly, as I doubt drivers will be changing tyres for this session. Wessels, meanwhile, Absmeyer has pulled a blinder, by the way, and has leapfrogged. I was trying to get something for my throat, so I didn't see how that pit stop went. But I dare say that the Porsche may have changed tyres, and Absmeyer to get track position with 10 minutes remaining may have not taken tyres. You can see from the way the gap is visibly closing with the 27 car yet again. This is your battle for the lead. Into the corkscrew they come, and the Porsche looks so much more planted. I'm sure Absmeyer has some confidence that he can stave off the attentions of this Porsche. But if this is the battle that we're going to get for the next 10 minutes, I need to find myself some lozenges. I'm going to have no voice at the end of this. Meanwhile, behind too, Etienne Kleb is hunting the 74 car of Ryan Barrington-Smith. These are closer by a couple of tenths of a second. Don't worry, I am keeping an eye on that battle as well. Even if you guys can't see it, they're getting very, very close. I think they'll be around the end of the lap. Yeah, as they come across the line, that gap isn't opening up, however. Does Etienne Kleb have the brakes to be able to dive it up the inside? No, not on this lap. Ryan Barrington-Smith manages to keep the position for the time being, but I dare say it might be a matter of time. As Wessels has fallen away, just for your record keeping, the Porsche has fallen away, perhaps getting a little bit too close to the Aston Martin and running wide with no aero on the front of the car. 78 car does the same, but manages to keep it on the black stuff. Now is closer than ever through the kink at turn 6, managing to stay off the curb, but runs wide onto the AstroTurf on the outside. You don't want to do that. I can guarantee there is no grip out there. On the brakes into the corkscrew. The gap as close as it will be for any part of this lap. Down through turn 9 they come. It's such a wonderful perspective to see from these cars in real life as well. Wessels doesn't seem to be able to close in is not seeming to be able to close in to Absmeyer. I wonder if he's used the best of his tyres trying to push there. But over the line they come as the position marker goes mental for a second. Apparently Etienne Kleb is now in 4th. Admin help, I think the server's broken. I don't know how, but it appears to be broken. As the gap ever so slightly falls away. When you get up underneath a second's gap, you really do lose so much performance from the aero of these cars, even in these wet conditions. Well, in these wet conditions it makes it worse because the guys will be running much higher aero. But now up behind the number 1 Ferrari, this is a lap down, but he can't get away from the fact that Ferrari is punching a hole in the air in front for Ryan Barrington-Smith. On the brakes they go. We know the 1 car isn't necessarily very good at getting out of the way through this section. Will run wide through turn 9 and leaves the drift. The racing line does drift back out towards where the 1 car had put his car, but both cars negotiated nicely. Every time they have to lap someone, it's an awful, awful question mark that you have to put on a race that you really don't want to have to be asking even more questions of. Yeah, that is turn 1 there. This is actually turn 2, which is insane. America, again, what are you doing? Through turn 3, and the 78 car starts to look a little bit more poised again. And starts to reel in. Wessels, meanwhile, cannot seem to put any kind of pressure on that number 90 Aston Martin. Was Jason Absmeyer conserving his tyres this entire race to save them for that fight at the end, for when he absolutely had to use them to fend off the attentions of Stefan Wessels in the 27 Porsche? Is this what he's been playing the entire time? Was that what the gap was about? Oh man, what a blinding strategy if so. Another time where I really wish that I could see what the Oh, I really wish that I could see what the tyres were doing. That was a lot of overspeed that the 78 car got over the 74 that time around. Across the line they come. The gap is below 0.4 of a second now. Into turn 2, they will come onto the brakes. 78 car plays it very, very cautiously. The 74 goes out wide, will cut back in for their second apex to try and get the car straight lined. The Vettel line, as I've heard a couple of people call it. Feel free to adopt that one. Giving Vettel a name of maneuver I am all for. And now in towards turn 5 they come. This is where the 78 car will really start to feel the effect of the 74 car in front. However, is that the Lamborghini of Van der Merwe? It is in front. Yet again, we come up to this very aero-dependent part of the circuit. The Lamborghini just abandons the circuit to try and stay out of the way. Into the corkscrew, and this time the 74 car is the one that gets it right, gets back onto the racing line to get a much higher entry speed through turn 9. That's the Ryan Barrington-Smith that we know and love, using the front end performance that Aston Martin to hold the car into the apex on the second part of the corkscrew. From 0.3 it was last time around. The gap goes out to a second, and Etienne Kleb with 3 minutes to go must be tearing his hair out trying to think of a way past for that 4th place. Meanwhile, Stefan Wessels, I'm sure, is ruining whatever strategy call he made, unless there was damage on the Porsche that he had fixed. That is also a possibility. Yes, Kleb's exit speed on that hairpin was insane. That is a racing line call rather than a setup call. Oh. As I nearly had an actual heart attack as the 78 car drifts off to the inside. That's not good if he's starting to have network troubles. Let me know if this, if you are seeing the raindrops as actual drops and not little particles for you guys on stream, if you've got enough internet to be able to watch it in the highest quality. This hopefully, I've been doing some work and trying to optimize the stream to make this look as good as it possibly can. There's not a lot more my internet can give, unfortunately. But I am uploading at 12 megabits per second, so it should be enough. And suddenly, Kleb starts to turn the screws again. Wessels, meanwhile, has managed to draw in the Aston Martin again, and there was a spinner off on the inside. It was one of the THT cars. So, Koenig... I think that may have been Stephen. Let me see. It doesn't look like it. Let me just very quickly have a look back before these guys all get properly intertangled for the last lap. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. ACC, no, this is not a time. Is that what happened? 38 car into turn 2, gets on the brakes. All looks pretty comfortable there. That wonderful Herbie livery. Gets out onto the... just narrowly avoids the gravel on the outside. It looks like comes through turn 3. And, oh, it was going sideways before he even got into the corner. As the drivers all had to take evasive action. Just to let you know how terrifying this is. Gets spun round and on to the straight and narrow once again. But this, Ryan Barrington-Smith, the pass has been made. We missed it. This is the final lap of the race. Wessels is as close as he's ever going to be. We've missed the pass for Striderman and for Kleb and Barrington Smith. But he only has to get one corner right now for Jason Absmeyer. He ran out of fuel in the last race at Donington Park, but he comes from a DNF to win round 4 of the Logistical Nightmare Racing ACC GT3 series. And what can Barrington Smith do now in the closing stages? The 78 car has looked the class of the racing line in this little battle, but the 74 car is still super close. Can he make a dive up the inside? No, because Kleb is defending, looks to the outside, tries for a cutback, but the 78 car is already there. On the throttle they go, and they will come across the line, and that is how they will finish. Let me do the due diligence of while the drivers get themselves decompressed ever so slightly. Let's have a quick look at Etienne Kleb, who made that pass. Oh, it was into the final corner as well. Was that a mistake from Barrington Smith, or was that... Oh, it was. He made a mistake on the previous corner. It put the 74 within striking distance up the inside, and that was how it happened. For the 74 to push so hard and lose out in the dying moments of the race. How upsetting for them. He did try and fight back around the outside, but that was all that she would end up writing indeed. So, Absmeyer will take the win. Stefan Wessels will take second. Stridham will take third, with Etienne Kleb taking fourth. Barrington Smith fifth. Paul Venter in sixth position. Wilson will take home seventh, with Greening in eighth in the end. Great drive for him from the pit lane of all places. The Van der Merwe family will finish 9th and 10th. Bullen will start 11th. 12th will be Robson's. Koenig in 13th. 14th will be Sabata. 15th will be Zoma. Price in 16th. And Vermeulen, with those connection issues causing consternation in the end. Sean Stridham, I will drag into the room. Good evening, Sean. A third position in absolutely awful conditions, my friend. How on earth was that for you?
That was difficult, honestly. I don't think I was expecting it to be, I won't say difficult, but let's just put it better way, challenging. That was what it was.
Challenging, was it?
That was challenging. You know, every time you think hey, okay, now I understand the car, I can push a little bit more. Then it's like, no. Now you're getting oversteer. Now you're getting understeer. So, the podium, I'm really, really happy with that.
Yeah, man. And Leguna Seca, what was your opinion of this track?
It's actually a track that I do enjoy a lot. I can't complain about the track. I actually did there. Me and Sean Buck did a race there on Sunday night also. I think it was actually colder in hell that day than on the track. It was something like 48, 49 degrees on the track. So I don't know what's worse, the wet rain or the hot temperature. But you know what, a podium, I'll take it anytime. You know, especially against very strong drivers in this group. So yes.
Yes, 100%, and it was a case of keeping the car on the track as well. We had there was lots of issues where drivers were just pushing a little bit too hard, and all it takes. Can you back me up, because I did say it during the race, and I know this for a fact, but can you just back me up? So turn 6, that lovely little kink just before the turn 6, just before you head uphill towards the corkscrew.
Yes.
Right, there's AstroTurf on the outside there. That's slippery as all hell, isn't it? It turns to ice in the rain.
To be honest, during practice, I noticed yes. If you go into that, that little green piece there, I want to
That's it.
say, then the rear does want to step out. However, if you go over that green and you're able to get your steering to be as straight as possible, then you can actually go. But as soon as you got a little bit of left turn still, then unfortunately, a couple of times with me, I had to correct, obviously counter steer to make sure I don't spin out.
Yeah.
So no, it's true. That little green piece or turf, you want to say, is it can be very tricky.
It's awful. It's awful. No, thank you very much. You made me feel a lot better. No, I've had many an occasion where I was applying the throttle in a practice session and didn't quite have the steering wheel straight. Yeah,
yes. Yes.
You know what happened.
Perfect. I do understand.
But
perfect.
Absolutely lovely, Sean. Well done for mastering.
Thank you.
This awful weather and this fantastic track. Last race of the season, if I remember correctly, is Silverstone.
I'm also not actually quite sure.
It's Silverstone. Silverstone is round 6. Yes. So we get to, I think it might be a return to dry weather.
I hope so.
I think it might be a return to dry weather. But Silverstone, an airfield circuit, is it something that interests you, that you're familiar with?
I'm a big fan of Silverstone, to be honest. I with the Aston, I'm feeling I'm quite strong there. I do remember that I do get a couple of slow punches, so you need to. There's a couple of corners you don't want to cut the track too much or go onto the curb too much. But yes, I'm actually now that you said Silverstone, I'm looking forward to the last race, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We'll put in some proper practice time.
Yeah. It should be significantly easier for the for that. It presents a very different challenge to Leguna Seca. But Sean, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure.
As always, well done. Congratulations on the podium. I'm rapidly refreshing simracing.gp to see if the standings are updated.
The point.
this isn't going to do you well. It's not the win. I think you might be losing out. Sean's strategy, by the way, went into the pits in second, came out in first. Did you see that happen? Were you? Do you see that happen on the standings?
Well, obviously I had a look at the standings, so I was quite happy to go into this round with 1 point ahead of Jason. So yes, him being second place, I was, rooting that he stays there. You want all the guys to do really well, and when he came out of pits, I think it took me about 2 or 3 laps to realize, like, oh, he's in first place, and then we're in a party chat, you can say, as a team, and that's when they're saying, oh yeah, the pause, as soon as it becomes a little bit light on fuel, it can be a bit tricky. So that's maybe what happened with Vessels, and why he was maybe falling off a little bit towards the end. But no, but that's after those to Jason and to Stefan. They running 1 minute 27 in the wet. Honestly, I can think about drivers that's struggling even to get 1:27 in the dry. So. That's amazing.
No, totally agree. I totally agree. Sean, gracious as always, gentlemanly as always. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully we'll catch you in a bit.
Perfect. Keep well.
Have a lovely evening, mate.
Same for you. Yeah.
And next into, I believe, drag into this room. This is a Mr. Ryan, yes?
No, it's Stefan.
Stefan! Sorry, Stefan. I always get you because you don't have your nickname set as something representative. I just keep. You used to be able to set nicknames locally, so I used to be able to just right click. You're this person, but you can't seem to be able to do that now. Stefan, you were doing so well. You were leading the race. What happened in that pit stop phase?
The pit stop was fine. The outlap wasn't great. I don't know. Tire temps looked good, and everything was green, and they were still in the 29. So the car felt a bit weird for about 2 laps, and I got quite a bit of traffic in that crucial moment, and that was enough, eh? And then, Jason just drove a brilliant race. He didn't make mistakes, so, hats off to him. At the end, I was catching up a bit, giving him a bit of a go, But I mean, you need to be so much faster to actually be able to overtake someone. So
Yeah, and the way that the Porsche and the Aston Martin make their speed is so different between the two cars that I'm sure you were watching Jason just walk away once the rear tires actually had traction. It was just trying to like watch him just disappear into the distance. That's all you could really do.
it wasn't that bad. The Porsche only starts losing out when you go above 240 or so. So up until about 190, 200, the Porsche is probably the fastest. So it's quite a good it's good accelerating. So you can get next to the guy, and then it's kind of like, okay, but I can't do any more.
You can't do any more than that yet.
It gives you like a sneak peek, and then it's like, okay, but you can't do any more. And of course, you're not going to send it from a second back, because that's just horrible. So
Speaking of,
no,
sorry, go on.
no, fine.
Speaking of sending it from a second back, we've seen Bentleys do that because they are ridiculous on the brakes. What's it like driving the Porsche? Because, well, we've heard it from real world as well as sim racers that driving the Porsche is a very, very different prospect to most other cars because of how far back the engine is. How does that translate to ACC?
The Porsche's got two claws, which makes it fast as well. So the engine is at the back, so all your weight's at the back. So that gives you amazing traction. So it really booms out of a turn. But the problem is the fuel tank is in the front, so your fuel level changes the car completely. So to have a car that can turn quite nicely on 120 liters will be doing donuts at 20 liters, So, and to get something that's stable at 20 liters sometimes means that at 120 liters you understeer a bit. So it's a bit interesting that dynamic is difficult to manage because the car changes completely during the race. But yeah, and my driving style is not the latest breaker. So when I watch other racing with other guys, they normally catch me on the entry of the turns, and I generally get them at the exit of the turn. So that makes it difficult with the Aston because the guys really bomb me going to the entry of the turn, where I try to brake less, like feed off the brakes, just rotate through keep momentum through the apex.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm with you. I drive much the same. Don't you worry.
So that's what I try to do, and it's very difficult to do that when a guy is less than a second behind you.
Yeah, of course.
So once you have your gap, yes, you can drive that way and make your lap time, but that's part of the game, man. It's what makes it so fun.
Yep, 100%. Stefan, as always, it's beautiful to have you in the room, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. We've got one more round in this championship, and that is at Silverstone. Tell me you aren't anxious for the prospects of the Porsche.
No, I love the Porsche at Silverstone.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think you're going to be up there giving the Aston Martins trouble again?
Well, Silverstone is a tricky track because it's one of those tracks where you've got long straights, but if you don't run high downforce, you die. So it's going to be one of those things where if I'm behind him, I won't be able to get past him on the straights. Yeah, we'll see.
It's going to be...
We'll see what happens.
It's a tantalising prospect. Thank you very much for whetting our appetite. It's great that we only have to wait a week to see that as well. Better get that practice in, Sean. Sean?
Cool, man.
Damn it, Stefan. Names. You have a lovely evening, mate. I'll catch you again.
You too. Cheers, bye.
I'm having one of those nights, apparently. Last, waiting, because it seems that Mr. Absmeyer is not going to join us. We have Leanne and Stefan from the THT team. Welcome to the comeback. Sorry for the delay. I obviously had to speak to the other guys as well. A very difficult race for the Porsches, and a very difficult proposition for the Team Heap Together cars. How was it from your perspective, guys?
Well, ladies first.
Well, we've had a few issues tonight, obviously, with ESCOM and a DC that happened during the race. But overall, we did our best and we dealt with the challenges as they came along.
Yes, and there were plenty of challenges tonight. What have you had to be on the pit wall for a wet race yet, Leanne?
I was on pit wall for the Suzuka race that was also LNR, and so I got used to the pit wall for that. But this race was completely different to Suzuka, I'll have to say.
Yeah, it's astonishing how much difference a little bit of water can make to what you think how you think a race is going to fall. How was that new challenge? Did you enjoy it? I've got this. I'm one of these really weird people who absolutely love wet races and actually gets quicker when the floor's wet. I don't know what does it. How was it for you then?
I found it quite enjoyable, especially from the standpoint of working everything out for the best stability for the team. For the drivers, I don't know whether they enjoyed it as much as I did, with the risk of sliding into the walls and other cars. But I enjoyed it.
Good. That's really good. It does seem to open up the strategy because the drivers are driving, or some of the drivers are driving slow. I don't know what they were on the top of at the head of the field tonight. I think they might possibly have had a glitch where the track was actually dry and they were running on slicks. That's my theory anyway. It does open up the strategy. It makes it a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult to work out where the drivers are going to be coming in and out and that sort of thing. Was that still something that you found you getting your head around?
Yeah, I had a strategy going into this race, and we used that strategy, and it worked in our favor for that part.
Excellent. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Leanne. Stephen, how was it?
Hello.
We found out how it was from the pit wall, but of course, Leanne had the benefit of a cover over her and some dashboards in front of her, as opposed to a window wiper and a steering wheel. How was it from the street level?
Well, I can tell you that it's very tricky, and especially with the Porsche. What we found is every time we tried pushing the car a little bit more, we landed up having a lot of understeer coming from the nose. So we couldn't push it as hard as we wanted to, but it was a lot of fun. I've got to say, I'm with you. I enjoy when the floor's wet. You slip and slide, and it's a new type of challenge versus the standard drive in the dry until till everything goes. I tend to prefer the wet and the wet in the dark.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an interesting challenge. And it was, thank heavens for Leanne giving a little bit of pointers of when to pit, when not to pit. A little bit bummed that my teammates at first took a hell of a knock from hitting the lovely sausage curb in the rain. But yeah, I mean the strategies came in straight from the start with the two of us, and that was the whole fun point of it. I mean, getting told, okay, I'm holding Yanneman up, move out the way, let him go, and then go play chasing afterwards is always a fun time.
Yeah. Being able to chase is so much more fun than having to defend, or just having to make sure that you're running fast enough to not get in the way. There's a bit of a confidence boost there. But we saw you have one really, really big spin coming out of turn 3. It looks as though the car had gone before you even got to the apex. Talk us through that sensation, because again, we're talking about Porsches. These cars handle so much more different to the rest of the field with the mid and front engine configurations. Talk us through that, because I know I've driven a Porsche. I know how it feels. It's not my job to tell you how the car feels, though.
Maybe I should get some pointers from you. You drive a hell of a lot better than me. The it was gone before the corner. Unfortunately, I started trying to push harder and harder to get up to Robertson. Leanne told me that he's got a 5-second penalty. So I thought, okay, if I can get within those 5 seconds, we're going to move up a position. So I started pushing a little bit harder, and on the exit of turn 2, the car was already a little bit shaky. And soon as I got it sort of pointing straight, I thought, okay, now I can start applying the brakes slowly, and that's when the tail started coming out. And unfortunately, I became a passenger at that point. You can turn left, you can turn right, but the car was going to do what the car wanted to do, and it was rather infuriating to know that I've messed it right out of turn 2 all the way across to turn 3. And thankfully enough, we didn't lose a position, but at that point, 150 meters, you're a passenger in your own car, which is definitely not a fun sensation. The only thing you're thinking about is please don't hit the wall. That wouldn't be a nice time. And you're kicking yourself afterwards when you come to a stop. But when you have the grid coming chasing at you, and you kind of sitting there, my engine stalled. And I'm just like, please don't hit me, please don't hit me, with these big angry Astons and everything coming around the corners.
Yep. You've said everything in the order that I was about to ask you. And Leguna Seca, I've not spoken with this about anybody else. Leguna Seca is, to all intents and purposes, a street course. In how close the walls are, you have most tracks. You have this lovely gravel traps and runoff areas and things like that. No, with Leguna Seca, unless you are very, very lucky, if you get it wrong, you're hitting a wall.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I mean, even in the wets, that little bit of gravel that you think you have, or that little bit of AstroTurf you think you can slow down, the cars just rotate. There is nothing to stop you from going into the wall. I have to say, it kind of reminds me of the old Nordschleife circuit, where the one mistake and you're pretty much you're done. You're game over. And the last thing you want to do is pit more than planned on the circuit. I mean, we took a look from the start when the guys landed up in a few accidents, going a little bit side by side, touching the grass, and that was it. Game over for them. It was it's all I can say. It's an old school circuit. It's
wonderful.
Built for old school. It's built for you drive like hell, and you give it everything you got. And if it's not enough, well, it's not enough. It's a test of skill, and definitely the corkscrew is the coup de grace of it.
Yeah, it reminds me to an extent of Kailami, funnily enough, with the walls running down the sides. There's some really, really narrow sections of that old South African track, and it makes for a completely different approach to how you take every corner.
That's it. You're not looking to get round turn 1. You're looking to get round turn 1, 2, and 3. You're planning 3 corners ahead, because one mistake can kill off your drive, and at the same time you can go piling into a wall and ending your own race. So proper old school circuits.
I was going to say,
have a ton of fun driving it.
Yeah, no, absolutely hit the nail on the head, and I'm so glad that you've said it. It's so nice to drive to talk to other racing drivers, because you're just saying all the things that I want to say. It's really quite fun doing these post-race interviews. I really do enjoy it. Stephen, Leanne, thank you very much for dropping in to say hi to me. You're always welcome in the com box, even during the race as well, if you feel the need. But I'll let you guys get going. Thank you very much for dropping in and saying hi.
Thank you very much, and just want to say a massive thank you to the entire LNR team, and for you also to, filming the races, and also to the audience that goes and supports the drivers. I know this is the second last race for us for the season, and it's a bit heartbreaking to see it, but at the same time, massive thank you to you guys, and thank you to all the supporters that keep us coming back for more. We feel like superheroes.
Of course. well, you never know. There might be another season. Stephen, I'll catch you in a bit, mate. And
Cheers.
Leanna as well, I'll drag you out in a second. But thank you very much for dropping in and saying hi. It's always good to have your perspective, just because it's so much more different than what we normally get in post-race interviews.
Yeah.
Cheers for coming in for 2 races now. Have a good evening.
No problem. You too.
And with that, I can go back to this screen just for a moment to give you the updated standings in the championship. Jason Absmeyer will regain the lead of the championship, and Sean Stryden will be demoted to a lowly second position, only 4 points off. Going into the final round, this competition could not be any closer. Paul Venter will in the end defend to third position, and Stephen Wessels will close the gap to in fourth. Etienne Clabb will do wonders for his championship to climb up to fifth position, and Neil Greening will climb to sixth, and Mr. Stephen Koenig, who we were speaking to just now, will push himself to a joint 12th position. That's how close this is, with Gerrit Jensen van Vuren, who was not able to show up tonight. And that is how much of a difference it can make for these championships. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. My name has been Ike Sky. You've been watching Logistical Nightmare Racing. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, remember to get subscribed, and remember to get over to the Discord where you can get involved with all of the community. Thank you very much, as always, for watching, and until next time, be excellent to each other. A very good night to you all.